Hello and welcome back to my small little library. Today's video is gonna be woozy. Well, I stumbled about an article and I kind of want to talk about it. Just because I do make videos about books on social media, and the article was about how bad BookTok is. Just that. And it kind of annoyed me. I don't know. And so I thought, why not talk about it, go into a little bit of like my opinion about the things, share a little bit about my struggles with books and social media, but like also talk about why I don't think that BookTok and booktube and all of these things are bad for the publishing industry anyways, but also not for the people who partake in it. And I will link the article that prompted me to talk about it in the first place, and then the second article that is kind of like, that looks a bit more into both sides, the good and the bad. And yeah, so I will link you those two in the description just because they prompted me to make the video, and obviously they are my sources for some things said in them. But yeah, I feel the need to talk about it, and I thought, why not? I don't know. I'm a really small channel, so probably this video won't go out to a lot of people, but I think it's important to talk about social media and our consume of it and what it does to us. So I do think it can be helpful to talk about it and to get different opinions on it, and why not share mine, So let's start with the first argument that the author talks about in their article, which is that they try to stay away from BookTok because BookTok is really shallow in their opinion. You only see the same few books, and people kind of like take pride in owning a lot of books, not having read them. I think that is one argument that a lot of people would make, because I think there are a lot of books that are simply really, really popular, and so you can see them a lot. People want to share them. Also, there are people that do make money with social media, and so they do also have like a reason to share them, but I think most of all, there are popular books out there and people like them and people share them. I don't think that you can fault people for all showing the same books. I think that a lot of the people that use BookTok are around the same age, so they also have a lot in common when it comes to what they like to read. Also, nobody has a right to have their book shown on social media by other people. I think it's hard to fault people for showing what they love, if they do that. And then on the other hand, there are like social media people out there that may earn money from showing books, but you do have to put like hashtag ad somewhere, or you have to make it so that people will see that it's paid for content. So you always have to go into that with a grain of salt, but I don't think that is special. I mean, you have the beauty industry, and look at how much makeup is sponsored on YouTube. If you look like makeup videos up, which I totally don't mind, as long as I know that it's a sponsored thing, it's totally fine to do that. I, for one, am happy if people can make money with this. Why would I be mad about that? I mean, if I could, I would make money with it. I'm not gonna be mad about people making money with their social media. For me, sharing book boxes, book subscriptions, getting books sent by authors, all those things where you are contractually obliged to make a video or a book talk about it. I don't think that it's a bad thing, as long as you're aware that this content is out there. And then on the other hand, if a lot of people want to share the same book, let them. I also share books that maybe you don't see as often, but I mean, who cares what books you share? Share the books you love. And then the second point, with people having heaps and heaps of unread books and pretty much like showing it off, the books that they've bought. First of all, everybody is responsible for their own consume. Nobody forces you to buy books. And then again, do I judge people for owning a lot of unread books? No. If you want to own them, it's your right to own them. People buy a lot of clothes. There are different people who buy a lot of movies. I think to judge people for buying a lot of books and then not reading them fast enough is kind of like, then you have to also judge people who buy a lot of makeup and don't use all of it because you can't put all of it on your face at the same time. I kind of feel like it's a really judgy position to take, to be mad at people for buying books for the sake of buying books. Also, there are book collectors out there. The same as there are people who collect figurines. There's a lot of things out there you can collect. I, for one, my partner and me, for example, we enjoy buying a collector's edition from video games. There's no need to. They're obviously just things to look at, but we do enjoy to buy them. We don't own a lot of them because they are really expensive, but our collection is growing. I don't want to be judged for that, so why would I judge other people for buying a lot of books and then not reading them directly, I have to say, when it comes to that, I do own a lot of unread books. I'm currently trying to minimize that amount. Well, not really minimize, but make it less. But I would say my ratio is maybe 55% read and 45% unread. A lot of that comes from buying books secondhand and in book series, complete series and stuff. Why wouldn't I buy the complete series when I can get it for cheap because it's secondhand in a book? I don't see a problem with that. And then on the other hand, I do enjoy being subscribed to book boxes. Those also come regularly. And maybe I don't always want to read the book directly or really enjoy the book or read it at all, That's always a choice there. And then I, for one, enjoy spending my money on books. And why not? Other people buy a lot of clothes. I don't buy a lot of clothes. I do that more rarely, maybe 2-3 times a year, if at all. And so why should I not spend my money where I want to spend it? And I do plan on reading all of those books. I don't buy them to just look at them. I buy them because I want to read them. But I also do enjoy a lot of choice. I have to have a lot of choice. I'm bad at making decisions, and it's the same for the books I want to read. When I plan out what I want to read in a month, I look at all of my books and choose from all of them. If I would only own, let's say, 20 unread books, that choice wouldn't be great enough for me. And so I think it's really judgy to make people out to be bad just because they have unread books. I think it's mean to judge people for that. Because we all can spend our money where we want to spend our money. And yeah, you can argue that buying books is not that good for the environment, but then again, paper is a renewable resource, and as long as we're good with that, I think it's fine. The next point she makes is the point of commercialism in booktube, and that it's not this cozy space anymore. I think this is something we can all debate. I think it totally depends on your personality, whether you find the space to be welcoming and cozy, or if you find it too commercialist. To be honest, I think it also totally depends on who you watch and what your preferences are. For me, booktube is a really, really cozy space. I discovered booktube 3 years ago, roughly, I think, now. And for me, it rekindled my love for reading, because before that, I stopped reading a lot. I did read still, but I didn't read at the pace I do now, because of going to university and then learning my trade through an Ausbildung in Germany. It's like a 3-year course to learn your job. You are 50% at school and 50% at work. And that it takes you 3 years, and then you have like a finished education. Pretty much like a bachelor, but it isn't a bachelor. And I did that, and at the time I didn't really have the time to read as much. Life circumstances. And I found booktube, and it really rekindled my laugh because I never knew there was such a community out there, and I, for one, never had many friends that also read as much as I did when I was younger. And so I think for that I will always be thankful for the booktube community, and for me it's always a cozy space. I can see myself in so many other people who have similar personalities and similar worldviews, and don't judge me for what I like because they like the same thing. And I, for one, have always struggled with people judging me for what I like. One thing was video games. As a woman or girl, when I was younger, I was judged for that really, really harshly, and I found that hard that people judged me for it. The same with reading. For a time in my teens, it was really uncool to read. I'm glad that that changed, but yeah. And so finding your community where people don't judge you because they like the same thing, I think is just really special. And to be honest, yeah, there is a lot of sponsorships now and people talking about books because they get paid to do it. But why is that bad? If you go to a bookstore, you also have recommendations from the people that work in the bookstore, or there are books that are more prominently displayed, probably or maybe because the publisher pays for it. Who knows? I don't know what is behind that, but you will always have books that are more prominently displayed and books that are less prominently displayed for whatever reason. And I don't think it's wrong to get paid to promote something. Yeah, I wish people would only promote what they really, really like, and you can't know that, because in the end, all of the big booktubers who get money to promote things are strangers to you, other than if you're friends with them, you know. So you can't know if they really, really enjoyed the book or not, and if they took the money because of whatever reason. But to be honest, I think most people just talk about books because they want to and because they enjoy talking about books and they want to talk about the books. Can you fault them for liking a book and then getting paid to promote it? If I would like the book anyway, why would I not like getting paid for it and talking about it? And so I think, yeah, money comes into it at some point, but that is with everything. I mean, look around when it comes to like owning animals. I own a dog. I love my dog very, very much. You get so much advertisement for like things for dogs that you don't really need, and people promote it a lot. Also, my dog has an Instagram account, which my partner is doing. He gets a lot of like people who comment on his things like, yeah, let us sponsor you and give you that and that for visibility, pretty much. Is it annoying at points? Yeah. But you don't have to look at it. If somebody does a partnership that you don't agree with or you don't like the thing, just don't look at it. You have a choice to do that. Also, if you know someone got paid to promote a book, then maybe don't buy the book if you think that it's not their honest opinion, or look at the blurb yourself to see if you would like that, you know. I think we all are people who can do like your own decisions, you know. You don't have to accept the opinion everybody else is telling you. And just because they paid for it doesn't mean that it necessarily is a bad thing. And their opinion isn't honest anymore, you know. I just think that it's wrong to pretty much say that everybody who gets paid to do something is bad. Then something else that also stood out for me is she says that because people started to do hauls and got boxes and boxes of books, hauled them, and then maybe didn't talk about them anymore because they hadn't read them yet. And she pretty much says that it isn't about reading anymore, but about people being a reader. And that actual reviews are really, really, really little anymore, and most of it's just showing off books. That might be. I wasn't in that community in the 2010s, around the time our author says that she was mainly part of the community. I don't know how it was back then. I do a review every now and then, but I mostly do my reviews of the books on Instagram. But I, for one, don't watch booktube for reviews. I enjoy looking at the books people buy because I can't have the whole market of books on my mind the whole time, you know? I now and then I look at books that I might want to buy, but I can't remember everything. So I enjoy watching what other people bought, what books they think they might like, and then I listen to them talk about what the books are about. And if I see one that sounds interesting to me, then I put that on my list. For me, that is much more important than a review of the book, because I don't want to get spoilers. A lot of books I think are better read without getting a review beforehand, and we all like different things. A bad review from one doesn't necessarily has to mean that I won't like the book once I read it, you know? So yeah, maybe it's not the content that she wants to see anymore. Fair enough. Fine. Then watch other things. Totally fine. There isn't a problem with that. But to then go ahead and say like, yeah, there's only bad content on there now just because it isn't the content you like, is a fallacy. Because there are people out there, obviously, that like that content. I enjoy watching people buy books. I cannot buy that many books. I don't have the money to do that. I have to be a little bit more careful with the books that I buy. But I enjoy looking at other people and what they bought and that they're happy about it, you know. If buying books makes you happy, buy books. Make yourself happy. I think the whole article is really judgmental in my opinion. Because pretty much it's an article like, I don't like how things are now, and because of that, how things are now is bad. That is so weird. For example, I used to watch Let's Plays. That was something I did from when I was like a teen, late teens, to finishing university a few years ago. I would only watch Let's Plays online. But I've grown out of that. I don't really enjoy that much anymore. I watch a lot more DIY YouTube, people building things, doing things out of resin. I really like that now. So I changed what I watched. But I won't go ahead and write an article about how bad Let's Plays are now, just because I don't like them anymore. I've changed. And I accept that wholeheartedly, and it's totally fine. And I think people writing stuff just because they're annoyed they don't like a thing anymore, it's a weird thing. Like, yeah, she does mention some things that are totally true. Yeah, there's a lot more commercialism in booktube. Because that is what happens a lot of the time when money comes into play. And now you can do social media as a career and you can make money with it. So obviously it's going to be there. But that doesn't mean that it's bad. Maybe you don't enjoy it anymore. But I personally really do. Please, give me more book hauls. I love to watch. Then she also brings someone else up and they talk about the cult of book ownership. It's annoying me, to be honest, because I think cults are a really bad thing. And comparing owning books to being in a cult is kind of minimizing how bad cults are, in my opinion. So yeah, for me, that is a topic I don't know. We talk about owning books quite a bit. And I, for one, for example, plan to make a bookshelf tour in the near future. And yeah, I will show off the books that I own. And I think that's totally fine. And that doesn't mean that I'm in a cult of people owning books. Like, there aren't any rules to owning books. There aren't any things you have to adhere to be in the book owning community, you know? That's just, I don't know, there isn't any brainwashing here. And I think to compare this to being in a cult is like, oh, please don't tell that to anyone who was in a cult and escaped. That is like a really bad comparison, in my opinion. So yeah, that is the main article I wanted to talk about. Just because I think, I don't know, I for one, I accept the opinions of other people, and for one, my partner and I, we don't always look at things the same way. And I think that is really, really good, because you don't want to have only your opinion. Like, I think it's fine that she wrote the article. But I also think talking bad about a community or talking bad about something other people like to do just because you don't enjoy it anymore, the same as you did back then, or you don't enjoy the current form it has taken, I think it's just petty to like then go ahead and be like, oh, it's all bad, because I don't enjoy it anymore. I would never do that. Other people obviously do. I don't enjoy that sort of thing. So yeah, for me, that is a really petty article. And obviously the author isn't happy with how the community is at the moment. But for me, it's just like, yeah, well, then look for a community that you enjoy being a part of. I personally enjoy being a part of the book community on social media because I think it's a lot of fun. And I like what people are doing at the moment. So, let's talk about the second article. The second article pretty much talks about a good aspect and a bad aspect. It talks about that publishers, creators, and writers all are pretty much the same opinion that booktube and the article is about booktube, but booktube and booktok for me are like one thing pretty much. Have a really positive influence on reading books, you know, because even if you're a small author, you can get out there. If people pick up your book and show it on social media, you can have a lot more reach than maybe you would have if you only put your book on a bookshelf in like a bookshop, you know. It is a really, really good thing. Books get out there. Maybe authors that weren't really that well known are overnight really, really well known just because people share them on social media. And I think that is a really, really positive thing. And that is what the article also talks about. It then also talks about one bad thing that I haven't ever heard about was a digital library called That Library, which pirated books. A really, really bad thing. I have never heard of that, and it seems to be shut down by the FBI, which, good on that. I, for one, if you don't have the money to read a lot of books, please don't pirate them. Get yourself a library subscription. I also have a library subscription. I pay 10 euros a year to my library, and I can read all the things that they have. They have a lot of digital stuff, ebooks, audiobooks, all of that. I don't even have to go to a library to lend all of that. And that is a really, really great thing if you are on a budget. Because I understand, not everyone can pay a lot for books, and books also do get more expensive as a lot of resources get more expensive. Totally fine, but don't pirate things. That is definitely the wrong way to go about it. You're only hurting the writers and the authors when it comes to that. Because an author whose book gets pirated, they lose out on their share for the book, on the money they would make, and maybe they can't afford to keep being a writer then. You have to think about that. That was a thing at all. I think is quite shocking, but then again, not that surprising. Please don't do that. Be nice and don't be an asshole. Just my opinion. But then the next thing that gets talked about, I think, is kind of a weird thing. Something that seems to be a problem is books showing up without content warnings and younger people reading books that, in the opinion of the adults in their life, they shouldn't read. And I put it like that because my parents never really said I couldn't read, watch, or listen to anything. They didn't forbid me anything, you know? And I think that's good. I don't think that it's a problem if an 11-year-old reads about sex. I don't think that is a problem. But I do get this, that everybody has different opinions about that, and everybody thinks differently about what the young people in their life should consume or should not consume. Totally fair. Everybody thinks different. I'm very liberal when it comes to that. I think it's not a problem if younger people read about death, for example, or abuse, or sexual things, or, I don't think it's a problem. You might think it's a problem. I think everybody is allowed to have their own opinion when it comes to that. You don't have to listen to anyone. But I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing. First of all, your children shouldn't be on social media if they're under a certain age. So if your children are on social media, that is your fault at that point. Because they aren't allowed on there, and why aren't you controlling that? And then again, if you go into a bookstore, I don't know, let's say your child is 14 and they go into a bookstore. Nothing, absolutely nothing, is keeping them away from the romance aisle. If you go into a bookstore, you don't have like an adult section. Romance is just standing where romance is standing. And maybe there's steamier romance there, and your kid picks that up. That works the same on social media, there isn't like some kind of section that people aren't allowed to go into in a bookshop that has like the really brutal stuff, It's just on the shelf. Everybody can pick that up, even your child in a bookshop. I don't really get where there is the problem there. Like, if your child isn't supposed to consume that, which is your opinion, and we might not see eye to eye when it comes to that, and your child might also not see eye to eye when it comes to that. That is just your opinion, and you can't really make all people adhere to your opinion about something, Just because you don't want your child to see explicit content doesn't mean that that's everybody's opinion and that we need to put that stuff away somewhere where nobody can see it just because your child could potentially see it online. I don't know if that's maybe my opinion isn't a popular opinion when it comes to that, but I think censoring, or too much censoring, can be a bad thing. And I mean, obviously you have to teach your children, or generally people should be taught, that books are fictional things. If you don't read like a non-fiction, it is a fictional thing, and obviously not everything you read in a book is a good thing. Like, you have to have normal judgment, obviously, So, yeah. I think it's kind of weird to make the internet seem like a bad thing just because you can find content of every kind there. She also the second author also talks about the industry meddling in booktube and booktok, but I talked about that a lot earlier, so yeah. I think my opinion stands. I also think it's totally fine. There's something that she mentions here, that how somebody made like a homemade book trailer and their book got picked up by a publisher because of that, even though the book is supposedly not that good. That's an opinion, I don't know the book, I can't tell you anything about that. Can you fault the author for trying? I don't think so. The publisher thought they could make money with it, so is it really their fault? No, I don't think so either. Obviously, the publisher wants to make money with the books they publish. And the trailer got really good reviews. And the article kind of alludes to the fact that maybe the author has made the book look like something it wasn't. But that is the fault of the author's marketing. But then again, the publisher should have read the book. They should have known what they gotten into. And adjusted the marketing once they were picked up by a publisher. And then again, I think everybody has their own opinion, and not every book that gets published by a publisher obviously is a good book. I mean, we can all talk about that. In my opinion, for example, look at Dan Brown, who wrote the Robert Langdon series. I loved the first books. I really, really disliked the last ones. I have no right to be upset at the publisher for publishing the last ones, because they were supposed to be popular, and there are a lot of people out there who still like the books. Just because I don't like them, I can't fault the publisher for publishing them. I don't know. I think people just meddle too much, and people get annoyed at things that don't have anything to do with them. If you see a book on BookTok that gets promoted by booktubers or booktokers, for example, and they get paid for that, and you don't like the book, they aren't bad at what they do. They didn't let their opinion be swayed necessarily. They could have liked the book and you not have liked the book. That is a totally natural thing to happen. So yeah, I think it's kind of reading too much into the whole situation at some point, with the fact that I can get out of the article, obviously I didn't really see the whole situation go down. I personally don't have a BookTok. I upload shorts on YouTube, but I am thinking about getting TikTok finally, but yeah, I haven't decided on that yet. So I don't know. I don't see all of the BookTok stuff. I just see what comes over to YouTube, and that is that. But to be honest, let people do their thing. They're not hurting you with promoting a book that they might like and you might not. Then also, the last thing that gets talked about is, for example, Penguin seems to have done a collaboration with TikTok where you were able to link the book and people could then buy it, but the creators wouldn't get any commission for that. Like an affiliate link, but without the affiliation. That was a mixed opinion about that. I would also be mixed about that because I would think if somebody else does the promotion for you, why shouldn't they get a little bit of the cut? But I think companies will always meddle with features to implement to make more money. That is something totally normal, I think. You don't have to use a feature if you don't like it, in my opinion, I don't know. It doesn't really hurt you if you don't like the feature and you just don't use it. It is your choice at that point. Do I think that companies always do like logical decisions? No. They are obviously profit driven, so I think you don't have to like the features. I probably wouldn't have liked it. I wasn't there to see it, but from the description I wouldn't like the feature. I just would not use it because I don't like it. If you don't like something the platform you use does, you don't have to use the platform. It is all on like a free basis. Like nobody is forcing you to use BookTok or TikTok in that manner. So yeah, I don't know why you would be so upset. You can be upset and don't like the feature, but like saying the community is bad because a company added a feature that a lot of people don't like anyways is kind of weird to me. And yeah, obviously people will be divided. I just don't think that a lot of the things people say about the community are a big deal in my opinion. But that is what it is, It is my opinion. In my opinion, it's not a big deal. I don't care. I think this community is good to showcase a lot of things. I mean, there are channels out there who especially talk about their own culture and their own representation in books, for example. I think that it's a really great thing. Yeah, then there are people like me. I'm from Germany. I read primarily English books in their original language. I don't really talk about German books. It's rare that I talk about them. And I don't have to, I don't have to talk about the books from my own country and my own language. Because this is the internet and I can't talk about what I want to talk about. And so I think it's cool that this is a community where everybody can talk about their own interests and showcase those. And if we all come together, we can all talk about the same thing in really different ways and we can all learn from each other. For example, I don't look into the authors a lot from which I read the books. If I like an author really, really much, I will at some point look them up just to see what other books I can get from them. But for 59% of the books that I own, I have no idea how the author looks. In paperbacks, you often don't see the author. In the hardcovers I own, often there's a picture of the author, but I don't look at it. I don't care how the author is looking. But for other people, that is important. And they can share that here. And they can share books from authors they want to see more out there. And I think that is a good thing. And so in my opinion, this community does more good than bad. And even the bad that it does is really like, yeah, some people think it's bad, other people don't. I'm really neutral to it. I'm happy for everybody that can make money with this. Do you? Just be honest. Just stay honest. Don't lie to the people that watch you. and everything is fine, you know? As long as you don't lie, where's the problem? Promote books that you want to promote, whether you get paid for it or not. Just talk about that. So yeah, that is all I wanted to say to these two articles, and hopefully I will be able to cut this down into a video that makes sense. Yeah, as I've talked about, I own quite a few unread books. There are still over 200 I haven't read yet that I do own, and I don't know, 340 that I have read already, that I not all own. I do read a lot from my library as well, but I own a good chunk of them. I enjoy it. I enjoy buying books. I enjoy looking at new books, at old books, searching for books, finding books at random times, getting recommendations from friends, from the internet, from booktok. You know, I think join the communities you enjoy. If you don't enjoy a community anymore, leave the community. Nobody is forcing you to stay. And in all honesty, I think we should all do what makes us happy. And for me, that is sharing about the books that I read. And that are new books and old books. That are primarily fantasy books. I don't read much romance. I'm not angry about people sharing romance books, and that is something that gets mostly shared out there. I'm not angry at people for that. Just because people share books that I don't enjoy reading doesn't make that boring, you know? I think it's cool that everybody gets to share what they love. And so I hope that we continue to do that. I just hope that this community continues to share what they love. And I will do that. And I hope that we all do that, because that just means that we do have a really happy community, because we all share what we love. And we do it together, from our own homes. Just the way I like it, you know? So yeah. I'm sorry if you don't like my opinion about this, but to be fair, if you don't agree with me, leave your opinions in the comments below. Nicely, because I don't think we can all have our own opinions, and I do like to hear what other people think about it, and maybe what they think differently or what they see differently than me. So yeah, please do that. I hope you enjoyed this video and my ramblings about, yeah, what I think about booktok and the discussions about it. And leave a like, subscribe if you want to. I would be really happy about that. And I will see you in my next video, which is going to be Sunday. And yeah, bye-bye!